Welcome in everyone, it's Yugi Cat here. Today's going to be a little bit different of a video today. We're not talking about games, and this is not a gaming video. This is kind of a life video. Won't go into too much detail yet, don't worry, but a new journey is beginning. A journey of self-healing. That sounds so cheesy, and I bet a lot of you just clicked off, and I bet a lot of people are going to click off, even if a lot of people see this. They probably won't for some time, because I'm non-existent, practically. However, I wanted to make a video about this. I would also like to put a disclaimer out there. I am not a professional. This is literally just my opinion. Everything that I say on here is my opinion. I have a right to it, just as you have a right to your opinion. Take everything that I say with a grain of salt, because I will be giving general advice, because you're probably not gonna watch videos that I title a certain way unless you are looking for advice. For example, in the future, I'm going to be talking about how to recognize triggers just based off my own personal experience, and I'll be giving what advice that I think might be helpful, at least for someone with bipolar or borderline personality disorder, because that's what I have. Um, so yeah. Also, I am very sorry that I say a lot. I can't help it. I have social anxiety and I'm also autistic. I'm not great at communication and I'm not great at eye contact even when it's with a camera. So there we go, there's my disclaimer. Let's get started. So, as I said before, I am not a professional. I don't know everything. These are just my opinions. The reason I'm making this video, it's a video diary of sorts. You might be asking, why should I give a shit about your life? You don't have to. You shouldn't if you don't want to. But I give a shit. My family does, my friends do, and my husband does, and that's all that matters to me. That's also something that I'm trying to adopt, is a personality of not giving a fuck. Unless you are my family, my friends, or my husband, I'm not gonna take anything you say to heart. I'm just not. I can't. I can't let myself do that anymore because it just hurts me in the end. I'm a very sensitive human being, and I know that that's the worst place to be, is the internet for sensitive people. But I gotta have some sort of self-exposure therapy. You know, I've gotta get over that. Which is another thing that we'll talk about. When people say get over it, I realized, as rude as it might come off, it doesn't necessarily mean forget about it or that it doesn't take work to get over something. For example, I'm slowly getting over my traumas. I have to get over my trauma. That might sound blunt, but when I say get over, for example, I've been working on a specific trauma since, let's say, 2020. So 6 years. I've been working on getting over it. It might take me 8 years to get over it, but I will get over it. Hopefully. In theory. Surely. Hopefully. So yes, self-healing. That's something that I'm aiming for. I'm taking it very seriously. I have a lot of notes that I'm not going to show you yet, or probably ever, honestly. I might read off a few things. But these are notes that I've been taking from a podcast that a very great friend of mine, let's call him A, he was there, and I'll do a little bit of a background for context. One of my traumas, my major one that I'm dealing with currently, and the kind of caveat to me making this video, is my abusive ex. I do not use the term abusive lightly. Do not get that twisted. Do not think that I am throwing internet slang around just for the hell of it. He was genuinely abusive. I have several people that can attest to that. Not that I need it to, because I am not pursuing anything legally. Not that I don't even think I could because statute of limitations. However, that's not the point. I will say the point is my friend A, right? Sorry, I had to regain my train of thought. I had to pause. Um, my very good friend A, he was there through that relationship, or he was around me when that relationship was going on. he didn't know the full extent of what was going on, but for example, I wasn't allowed to hug him, um, or even talk to him at all. It doesn't matter if my partner at the time, my abusive ex, it doesn't matter if he was around. I couldn't say hi to him in passing. I couldn't, or else it would be not great whenever we got home. He was very possessive, which possession, to a certain degree, everyone has possession towards their partner. There's possessiveness there, but this was over the top. So I said that to let you guys know that A knows a little bit of the background that I have. So he recommended a podcast for me called To Be Better. The hosts who are in a traditional Dom sub relationship, and you might hear the term Dom sub, dominant submissive, and you might immediately equate that to something sexual. While yes, there are cases of just a purely sexual Dom sub relationship, I'm meaning this in a relationship aspect, as far as there is a dominant who typically, and in my specific situation with my husband, he's the dominant. He is responsible for all the decision making because I trust him fully to make decisions in our best interest. He is also in control of all the finances because I am disabled and I cannot work at the moment. Um, there are some other roles that he has. And then I am the submissive and I have my own roles, which I'll get to maybe in a second. But I wanted to say that because these people on this To Be Better podcast have a relationship like mine, and they have both been through some of the same things. For example, Chris, he has borderline personality disorder, and he deals with that. So I can relate to him. Peaches has autism, ADHD, I think, and bipolar, and I can relate to those as well. So I think that was probably a very fitting recommendation podcast wise, because I can relate so much. And what they're going to say is going to help me, and I can tell because I have so many notes, and I've already used some of the tips that they gave me, and I had an extremely productive conversation yesterday with my husband, and it was amazing. Losing my train of thought again. Let me get back on track with my notes. Yes, okay, I've got it. The connection is part of my self-healing journey. Part of the reason why I made this video, again, was the abusive ex caveat. That's bleeding into my relationship. This trauma, the relationship began my junior year of high school, I believe, which was end of 2014, beginning of 2015, was when the relationship started. I think I was 16. The relationship ended 4 years later when I was 20, in about 2018. So I say that because that timeline means that it's been 8 years. It's been 8 years since this trauma happened, and it is still affecting my relationship of 7 years. That's crazy. That's crazy to think about. And one of my mistakes, which I learned from this podcast, was not letting myself be single after that relationship and not working on my shit. Because I also didn't accept it at the time. I didn't accept how bad it was until I think a year and a half to 2 years later. Like, I knew it was bad. I knew it was bad, but I didn't know how bad it was. And once I did realize that, once my therapist confirmed like a few things, a few traumas that I had were worse than what I thought they were, it's like floodgates opened, and all these emotions that I was shoving down came to the surface. It led to the caveat that we're speaking of today. Long story short, TLDR, the trauma that I have is bleeding into my relationship, and it is affecting my husband, and it is affecting me, and I'm sick of it. I'm tired of it. I've got to take accountability for my part in it, and I have to fix it. I have to fix it for myself. I want to fix it for myself, and I have to fix it and want to fix it for my husband and our relationship. That is paramount to me. It is very important to me. So that's why I'm doing this. I would like to be able to look back at these videos and compare how much I've grown. That's primarily why I'm doing this. Now, I would also like it to help people who might be going through the same thing. Now, if you click on this video and you're like, this has no relevance to me, you can click off. That's fine. You probably already have, and that's okay. But if there's just one person that sees this video and either goes to also try and listen to Be Better and like gets help, and like even with one thing, if they get help for one aspect of what To Be Better talks about, I consider that a win, and the hosts of that podcast are going to consider that a win because they love to know that it's helping people. They actually ask that you let them know how it's helped you. So we already did the disclaimer about me not being a professional. We talked about why I'm doing this, self-healing. Now we're also going to dip into accountability, which I already kind of mentioned. I have to own my shit. So you will see future videos of me being vulnerable and honest without giving away too much. And of course, all these videos will be seen by my husband. All the comments will be seen by my husband. I don't know why I said that. I just feel like it needs to be said. So in case you guys are worried about, oh, Yuki's saying all this stuff without her husband's knowledge and she's airing out their dirty laundry. He wanted me to talk about anything. He wants me to film videos. I need something to do. Idle hands are the devil's playthings, they say. And that's true for me. I have to do something. And I think this is going to be beneficial for me. So yeah, accountability. Sorry. I have to take accountability, for example, my triggers. Because specifically, there was an argument that happened recently, a couple of days ago, which I let get out of hand based off of my emotional maturity, which is low. I'll admit it's low. And my emotional regulation is not good. I'm not good at managing my emotions in the slightest, and I've been working on that for quite some time, and I'm medicated for it, and it is still very difficult. But I'm taking accountability for that. I'm no longer going to make excuses. I am no longer going to let myself get so easily defensive because, and I hate to be like, the podcast says, but I can't tell you the amount of relief that I've felt just by watching the first 3 episodes of that podcast, because I thought that I was so completely and utterly alone and crazy. It's insane, but they deal with the same stuff, and they read letters from people who deal with the same kind of stuff, and it's just it's great. But yes, sorry, accountability for my triggers. Let me give you an example. There was a time where my now husband, and I were having a discussion, not necessarily an argument, but a slightly heated discussion about maybe the way that I was acting on a bad BPD day. When I say BPD, I'm talking about borderline personality disorder. I also, my therapist is in between diagnosis. I've been diagnosed with bipolar by one therapist. I've been diagnosed with borderline personality disorder by another therapist. My current neuropsychologist says that I have many traits of both. So it's a combination of both. And unfortunately, with those two mental illnesses being so similarly aligned and interlapping with symptoms, for lack of a better word, it's hard to differentiate in my case if I have one or the other. So, due to those mental illnesses, I am very bad at managing my emotions. So my emotions were heightened. It caused a heated discussion. During that heated discussion, my husband now, had made a facial expression that I can't describe and I can't replicate, but it was an exact expression of something of the way that my abusive ex would look before shit hit the fan. And so in my mind, it immediately snapped me back, and it's like my brain replaced my husband's face with my ex's face, and I had to look away. I looked away immediately, and I was freaked out because it was the first time that it had happened, and I felt such anxiety and fight or flight. I was like, I have to get out of here. Like I froze. I was like, I can't do this right now. Like I can't move. Like, and he saw that I kind of froze up, and he asked what was wrong, and I said nothing. He's like, no, something just happened. What's going on? I told him. I was like, I don't know what it is, but you just like my ex. I I I don't remember exactly what I said, but I basically said my ex. Um, and unfortunately, that comes down to the fact that I just unintentionally compared my loving, protective, non-abusive husband to probably one of the worst people I've ever met based on a facial expression that he couldn't control and that he didn't know would remind me of my ex's facial expression. So that's something that I have to take accountability for as far as not letting it affect my relationship like that because I'm sure that's not a good feeling. There's no way that's a good feeling to, for example, if you have a partner and they had an abusive ex and they told you something that you just did reminded them of one of the worst people that they've ever been with in their life. That there's no way that that feels good. And I did not think about that until I think yesterday or the day before whenever we had this discussion. I will also disclaim that I'm very sleep deprived, so if this video is terrible, I'm so sorry. So yes, I said that to say as an example as to why I'm trying to figure out my triggers. I don't want it to affect my relationship anymore. I'm tired of it and I can't do it. I can't have it happen anymore. I'm 28 years old. I have to start really putting in the work, which I thought I was doing. I was in denial. I was putting in some work. I was not putting in enough. And I have to do that. I also have to accept the fact that I had a part in my own trauma. A very difficult thing for me to hear. I was absolutely pissed and offended when I heard it. I thought that my husband was telling me that my trauma was my fault. That is not what he was saying at all. Do not come for him in the comments. He is an amazing man. He was simply trying to point out the fact that the way that I react to my own trauma and my emotions is my responsibility. It's everyone's responsibility to keep their emotions in check. You're an adult. I'm an adult. We have to keep ourselves in check. I also would like to start recognizing the fact that my traumas are learning opportunities on how to prevent it from happening again and also to rebuild myself to be more resilient and emotionally stable. Speaking of emotionally stable, I would also like to become more emotionally mature. If you do decide to go watch To Be Better podcast, Peaches, and I say Peaches because I don't know why I connect to her so much, but I just do. That woman is so emotionally intelligent. She's also my age. She's 28. She is so emotionally intelligent. It's insane. She also had trauma or has traumas that used to affect her or still affects her, but she used to let it affect her relationships. And she's gotten to where now she's so far into the healing process that she's able to communicate effectively with her husband. And they communicate so well. Now it took a lot of work for them to get there, but that's what I want to do. That's what I want to be. I want to be able to communicate effectively with my husband because that's so important. So many marriages end and relationships end purely based on the fact that no one knows how to communicate properly anymore. Everyone everyone thinks that everyone has the same communication style and that's not correct. I also have to learn my husband's communication style and cater to his instead of thinking this is what I would want, so let me do this for him. He could need something different than I would need. So, so yes, needless to say, I'm striving for emotional intelligence. So yeah, that's it's kind of weird to kind of try and end the video on that, but I just wanted this was kind of like the intro to the video diaries, hence why it is called A New Journey. Now don't worry, this is not going to become a psychology channel. This is still going to be primarily a gaming channel, and I also post maybe some fashion stuff like my outfits or something. I need this. I think I need this for myself. So yeah, thank you guys so much for bearing with me through this. Um, Again, if you don't care about it, you don't have to watch. Um, if you leave a nasty comment, that's fine. I'm gonna heart react it and say thank you probably. Or something. I probably won't even respond. I'll probably just heart react to it and just be like, engagement, yay. That's the video. I'm really excited. I'm really hopeful. I feel great. I feel better than I have in a while. So, thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.